Roblox Doors receiving its Floor 2 update just over a week ago at this point, it not only brought a ton more lore to the game, but also many more mysteries that are still yet to be ultimately solved. These are 7 unsolved mysteries in Doors Floor 2. Comment what you think, and make sure you like and subscribe, and perhaps the developer of the game will tell us. Number 1, the courtyard plaque. Not only did we receive the new Floor 2 within the Mines update, but back in Floor 1, the courtyard did receive a major revamp, introducing new scenery beyond the playable zones, and also a brand new guiding light statue that looks much more different than its old counterpart. But along with this, we do notice a new plaque that stands in front of the statue, as it simply notes a bunch of random symbols being inscribed into the stone. I know what you may be thinking. Is this some type of secret code the developers added into the game, and if so, what exactly does this mean? Well, the font in question is actually a strange font design called Wingdings, and if we do indeed use a Wingdings translator, we can find the translation of this plaque to simply be Limbo. Okay, but Limbo what? Well, over at the Elsplash community Discord server, many people did have interesting theories saying that Limbo is a place where it isn't heaven or hell. Limbo, according to Google, mentions that it is a rift between dimensions, a place where people are neither dead or alive, which could signify that the events within the hotel and even the mines are in fact not real and are happening in some sort of magical vortex. Anyhow, there is a ton of theories behind the meaning on this plaque, as it's not officially been solved just yet. Number 2, Thorn Arm. Around the halfway point from within the mines, you will run into Jeff's shop and meet up with the whole gang again, but around the corner, you will notice a very strange presence. As we can see, there is a big, strange vine-looking structure that has its arm going through a storm drain while holding a large light post in its grasp. We're not exactly sure why this strange arm is here, though people are saying that this could be a future entity for a future floor within the game. Some people are also theorizing that this strange vine creature could be a variation of the snare entity as well, but of course, being much bigger and stronger than its small counterpart. The fact that this arm is holding a light post does signify that it has been around the hotel, most possibly around the courtyard, as we can notice those same light posts within the area, but no interesting signs. I guess we'll have to wait for Floor 3 to find out. Number 3, the castle. Speaking about Floor 3, towards the ending of the game, we can notice a big castle which ultimately leads into the final cutscene for Doors Floor 2. Now, doing a lap around the castle does show some interesting features, showcasing the big structure as a medieval abandoned fortress. This castle has the highest chance of being the next possible location for Floor 3, and it's also interesting because, due to the players opening the door for the cutscene, it may also be the first main floor in which you don't start an elevator, unlike from Floor 1 and Floor 2. Now, the castle itself is still a mystery, as we're not really sure why it has been abandoned all this time, and also what may be lurking behind the castle walls create some interesting and imaginative thoughts as well. But we do have good news. Floor 3 will come out much faster and will be easier since the developers have worked on upgrading the game's code. So maybe soon we will have our answers. Number 4, ending cutscene. Also within the ending of Doors Floor 2, the final cutscene itself is actually a big mystery, believe it or not. Once the players open the door leading into the castle, the Queen Grumble tries to attack the players, but is then hit with a black slimy arm belonging to Seek as they begin to engulf the Queen Grumble in black goo. Now, this is very interesting, and honestly, it really goes deeper into the other parts of the game's lore as well, especially after learning about Seek's new ability. Many within the community do believe that the Queen Grumble may be dead due to Seek, as we noticed they did experience something during the whole incident, but others also believe that the Seek entity may have simply corrupted the Queen Grumble and that they could show up as a new future boss, possibly within Floor 3. Number 5, Screech Piles. Other than grumbles roaming around door 150, do you notice something very strange and honestly a bit unnerving within this strange nesting place? Yeah, why are there so many piles of Screech all around the place? We can notice a ton of them near the drawbridge, and even more as we get closer within the nesting areas as well. There is a strange resemblance going on even if we start to compare both the Screech entity to the Giggle entity as well, though one does have an extra tentacle over the other. The other difference is also the more noticeable black goop slime covering the Screech, which can be connected with covering the Queen Grumble in the ending cutscene. But it still doesn't explain why there's a ton of presumably dead piles of Screech being littered all around door 150. Perhaps we should know the real reason why in the future. Number 6. Queen Scar. Now we already know that there are multiple different types of grumble within floor 2 of the mines, one of which being the normal patrol grumble with 5 tentacles, and the other being the queen grumble, which does feature 8 visible tentacles. But we've also noticed that this special entity carries a large scar between the eyes of its head, which further signifies it as being the queen grumble. But have you ever wondered why the queen ever received this scar in the first place? Could it have been some type of birthmark that this queen was born with, or possibly an engraving that was created due to the entity being introduced to royalty? It is also possible that the Queen Grumble may have had a struggle in their past which may have caused the scar similar to the current struggle that the entity is experiencing with the Seek entity. Regardless, the strange scar does remain a mystery as we don't know the true details just yet. Number 7. The Mines. If you really think about it, why are there mines even here in the first place, especially being connected to an old abandoned hotel, which then ultimately leads to a large castle-like structure at the end? There could be theories that the hotel was created in order to house workers who did work within the mines project, but it honestly does seem a bit too ambitious of a thing to do. Not only that, but it could be an even further link to the strange Bob entity being just a mere skeleton within the ruins. Within the mines, there are quite a bit of items and both used and unused equipment that can be found within the lockers and toolboxes around the floor, so this must have been quite a big project at the time. The mines may have been created in order to look for valuable resources such as gold, and honestly it could also explain why there's not as much gold compared back to floor 1, where some players were able to get upwards of 10,000 gold pieces, believe it or not. But what other mysteries have you uncovered? Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.